to sit him. But right now, let's go. We'll take more of your calls momentarily, but right now, let's go to Toronto. He is a Habs fan. Don't worry, fans. From thefourthperiod.com, he's the editor-in-chief over there. You can also follow him on The Fourth Period on Twitter.com. Oh, geez, I forgot to tweet him that he was coming on. It is Dave Pagnotta. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
I was good until you forgot to tweet.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm trying to piece everything that's going on together here in the National Hockey League tonight, but
craziness, huh?
Wild stuff. The Canucks taking the lead now, and shortly after tying the game, and everything that's gone on in Montreal, and Minnesota using 94 goalies in this series.
Well, all right. We heard from some of the callers here tonight so far, Dave, but you and I were chatting before the show. And by the way, thank you so much for coming on this late. I know that there's always a lot of fourth period stuff going on late at night as well in terms of editorial, so I appreciate your time.
Hey, man, I'm just still waiting for the Leafs to show up for Game 3.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Dave, you mentioned something to me before the show about the final play in terms of the goaltending.
Yeah, and I believe it was on the tying goal where Carey Price, and I've noticed this when it comes to key games, Carey Price has a tendency of going around the net on a dump-in and trying to clear the puck around the end boards and into the neutral zone. And he's been doing this, and I've noticed this for years, that he tries to do this on occasion, and it always seems to happen in big games. And it usually doesn't work out too well. It hits his own player. It'll hit the opposition before it crosses the blue line. It stays in zone, and it ultimately results in a goal. And that has been the case a number of times, and I don't know why Carey Price still does this. He's fantastic with the puck. But when you're in pressure cooker moments and when everybody is trying to get that puck on the other team to keep it in the zone, to create an offensive chance, I'm not entirely sure why he keeps doing it, but he does, and it resulted, I think it was the tying goal, but it resulted in one of the two goals in that third period. And, he needs to stop that.
From Dave Pagnotta here on the on Game Points on TSN 690. He looked to bump into a defenseman. I can't recall who it was. Might have been PK on the play, but certainly the puck didn't get out, and we saw what happened. But moving forward, Dave, a lot of fans just absolutely livid about refereeing and kicking motion and all these things, but I just keep going back to the same point. They had a lead in the final minute, and they just didn't look like they wanted it more than the other team. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you can point to those final minutes. You can point to the first few minutes of the third period. They let up, plain and simple. The Canadians let up in that third period. The game was theirs for the taking, and they let up. And you can argue 50% of the time that's called a kicking motion. 50% of the time it isn't. Depending on who's making the final call. I'm good with the call. It didn't look like a distinct kicking motion, in my opinion. It wasn't as obvious as you may want it to be, but that's besides the point. They still have a 2-1 lead at that stage, and again, they didn't seem like the Canadians were pushing full force like we had seen them in the rest of the game, and like we know that they can do. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is a scenario where the Canadians need to look at themselves in the mirror. And I get some of their guys are hurt, but you know what? Everybody's hurting in the playoffs, even in the first round, even in Game 4 of the first round. And for the Montreal Canadiens, they needed this game. They needed this victory. And you don't come out in the third period. It's usually what happens. Look at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You can't put all the blame on Marc-Andre Fleury. You could put a hell of a lot of it on him, but again, this is a team like the Canadians that should have won this game tonight, and they should have won theirs, and you don't come out strong in the third period, and you end up losing the game.
Chatting with Dave Pagnotta from thefourthperiod.com, looking at some of the players from tonight, Dave, call me crazy, but I actually really enjoyed, just like Game 2, the play of Jeff Halpern tonight. I thought he was really tenacious, veteran guy, calming guy, bigger body than maybe some of the other alternatives. If Gianta's back next game, then I would want to find a way to keep this guy in the lineup.
I agree. I mean, he's a spark in the sense that he's been there for so long, and he knows what it takes to make strong and smart plays when it comes to playoff hockey. And he's a guy, like I said, who's been there a number of times. He's been in the league for eons, it appears, and he's been in all kinds of different situations. I think, yeah, I agree. If Gionta comes back, or when Gionta comes back, you have to look and say, all right, do I want a guy like Dumont out there, or do I want to keep a veteran presence in that lineup like a Jeff Halpern? And that's what it'll probably come down to.
All right, Dave, before we let you go, what do you think happens on Thursday?
I think the Habs come through. This is a series that I picked going full 7 games. I didn't expect it to go exactly the way it's been going right now. I still think it has potential to go a full 7 if the Canadians do not play like they did in the third period. They play like they did in the first 2 periods. They should win the game on Thursday. He
is Dave Pagnotta. The site is thefourthperiod.com, The Fourth Period on Twitter as well. Dave, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Take it easy.
All right.